welcome back to a brand new episode of Strangers Worth Meeting. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Track Farms. So at the time of this episode, I was hanging out in Seattle talking to Rachel, and we had a great time there, and now I'm literally traveling across the country, all the way from Seattle to South Carolina with a few stops in between, and I can tell you that one thing that is seriously keeping me going is the Track Farms CBD tinctures. I have been driving, 10-hour days, 11-hour days, just constantly trying to get across the country, making only small stops in between to kind of rest and recover. And that, for anybody who's like me, is just hell on my back. My back has been in so much pain. I drive around with a heating pad and everything. But the one thing I know is that before I leave and when I get to my destination, I have a little CBD tincture, I should say, from Track Farms that I can take. And that stuff takes my back pain and really makes it a lot easier. If you've got that type of pain, if you live a hardcore life, I guess I live a hardcore life now, driving just across the freaking country, then that can make a huge difference in how your body feels. Help that inflammation, take that pain down. So give them a try. It really makes a big difference. Go to track-farms.com/strangers and you'll be prompted to enter the code STRANGERS at discount. You're going to get 15% off your order. I know they're doing a couple special things for Father's Day too, so check that out. track-farms.com/strangers and use the code STRANGERS at checkout. Hey everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Strangers Worth Meeting podcast. Today's an exciting day, everybody. I think you are my first returning guest. Rachel Lee is back on the show. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Tyler. Thanks for having me.
This
I'm
is the
honored.
first. I think you are the first repeat that I've had.
Oh, that's
I'm trying to think
exciting.
about it. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings here, but I'm pretty sure we're getting to that point. This is a random coincidence of a day because
Absolutely.
you just moved to Washington State.
Right.
For your next traveling nurse gig.
Yep.
And Andrew and I happen to be here for just a 2-week little time span, and we decided to get together.
It's amazing. Serendipity.
I know. So for anybody who is not familiar, Rachel came on the podcast, like a month ago or so?
Yeah, it must have been.
Yeah,
Yep.
it hasn't been that long. Maybe, well, probably like 2 months at this point. I guess.
Somewhere deep in the midst of quarantine.
Deep in the midst of the COVID quarantine. From Tucson, Arizona, but it was when I'd started doing remote episodes. And so you were one of my first remote episodes. And I like the remote episodes, but there's something about meeting someone in person that's completely different.
Definitely took the experience to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell the people what we got up to today, because it was a good time.
Oh, yes, we had a good time. So today, Tyler and I went on a very exciting hike in the Pacific Northwest. We climbed Mount Si. So it was about 8 miles through the forest to the top of a mountain in the rain, sweeping beautiful views off into the distance, seeing snow-capped peaks. Really, it was a nice time.
It was pretty good elevation too. It was definitely like being on a Stairmaster for a few hours.
Yes, our glutes are going to be feeling this tomorrow.
Yeah, but the Insta booty will be, just popping the next
On
time.
Point.
Yeah. So the last episode, obviously, there were so many episodes that were just so focused on coronavirus because it was such a major thing happening at the time. But we also happened to get into your experiences with through hiking, which is obviously super cool. And so it felt like hiking was the thing that we needed to get together and do. And now we finally have.
We have. It was a good choice.
Yeah. So I guess I have so many things I want to say. I don't even know where to start. So finally got to hike together, and I can keep up with you, which is nice.
Yes.
Although I feel like the distance today, even 8 miles, was probably pretty light for you. You probably enjoy a heavier day of mileage.
But I was satisfied. Yeah, I like my heavier days. I also like my solid 8-mile hikes with a lot of elevation gain. Overall, I'd say that we picked a good one, and it's a great experience. Recommend it.
I think we did. How has the state of Washington been hiking for you? Because obviously we couldn't be more different than the Tucson area.
Yes, it has been an adjustment period. I have been loving the trails in Washington, have been trying to explore many of the local alpine lakes. They are quite beautiful, but it is still early enough in the year that we're getting a lot of rain. So that has been a big adjustment from the bone dry desert.
Yeah, I know. We got pretty soaked and pretty cold up there today too.
We did.
Once you get up in a certain amount of elevation, like I felt like the temperature just dropped out from under us, and the rain started coming in, the wind started blowing. It was pretty rough up there.
It was, yeah. We punched out from above the tree line and full exposure, just embracing all that was the downpour of Washington.
Yes, and you had a nature sighting. I did not have. Because the very last stretch, we come up to these rocks. First of all, we get to the top of the mountain, people. We're definitely at the top of the mountain. But then Rachel here is like, well, what about that? And points to a close by, but definitely not the mountain we're on. And she's like, well, I have to go up that. So I accompanied her for some of it, but then it got real rocky and scraggly, and I was out.
Yeah.
I thought for sure I was going to fall or you were going to fall, and I just decided to wait for you.
It was probably a clever decision to not climb that. A little bit sketchier than I was anticipating. Totally worth it. Especially because once I got to the top, down in the valley below was a mountain goat.
Yeah. A big, white, fluffy mountain goat.
Big, white, fluffy friend.
But
so cute.
But it's sort of one of those Pixar didn't happen scenarios. And I feel like your pick looked like maybe someone got to the top of a mountain and chucked a stuffed animal off. And so I'm still not sure I'm entirely convinced.
It's kind of like when people show you pictures of like the ghost sightings they've had.
Oh, yeah.
Like the orbs.
Yeah, you definitely got like a Bigfoot style picture of this mountain goat. And I'm not sure if I really buy it, to be honest.
Guess we'll just have to go back and see for ourselves.
Yeah, that last little bit there was really, it's one of those things where it's slick. And it was like pretty much a lot of exposed rock face.
Yes.
And I just didn't trust the tread on my shoes because I don't really wear real hiking shoes. Like I wear the barefoot boots that have nothing on them, and that's great until it comes to like doing something really gnarly.
Right, until you're trying to full on climb up a rock face in the pouring rain.
Yeah.
I did appreciate the minimal tread that I did have on my shoes.
Yeah, exactly.
Helpful. Yeah.
So you're in Washington now for a few weeks. A few weeks more. Well, really like a couple months.
Yeah, a couple months. Yeah. Yep.
How's the gig going so far? How's traveling nurse life? Because you weren't really doing it when we talked last time either. You were sort of on a little break.
In the middle of a little break. Surprisingly enough, despite there being an international pandemic right now, we as nurses have been affected because hospital censuses have been lower and we've had more limited job opportunities. So I was just chilling, but I'm back working as a nurse, and that's great. Yeah, so far it's been good. I'm still so fresh at my new job that I'm just going through the orientation period and learning as much as I can about this new facility. I'll be working with coronavirus patients for the first time, so I have a little anxiety about that, but overall feeling good.
Yeah. Is it a bad idea that we met up today? Am I going to get sick now?
I think we're going to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
I believe that you do pretty well with your personal protective equipment there, and things are pretty well sanitized. It's not like when you come across a coronavirus patient who doesn't know they have it in the real world. I mean, that's the real sketchy scenario.
That's more risky. And like at this particular hospital, we actually only have at this current time 7 coronavirus patients in the whole hospital. So the numbers are really, really down.
Right.
So I haven't even worked with any quite yet. And I think they do a good job of keeping like just rotating people so they have minimal time in that environment, and they give them personal protective equipment. So hopefully it'll be good.
Yeah. Do you know what you think about the CDC and the WHO flip-flopping about asymptomatic people spreading things and spreading things on surfaces? Like I've literally seen them, and I mean I'm a skeptic of everything, so I want to say that first outright. Like I'm willing to buy what the experts tell me for sure. But it has been interesting over literally the last 3 days at the time of this recording. It's flip-flopped back both ways. It's been no, asymptomatic people can't spread it, and you can't pick it up from services. And then today it's no, that was a misstatement. You actually can. It's all what we thought originally.
Ooh.
That's what the head honcho, I forget his name, Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Oh yeah.
Is that what it is?
Dr. Fauci.
I don't actually know how it's pronounced. I'm realizing because I've only ever seen it written down.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I've probably mostly seen it written down as well. But yeah.
Because I don't watch like talk news.
Right. Yeah. I mostly ingest my news via my eyeballs.
Yeah. Exactly. So. Does that bother you when things are flipping back and forth and you're like in that environment actually dealing with the people who may have this?
Yes, I personally am terrified But I know that a lot of my nursing comrades that have been working throughout this entire pandemic are fairly nonchalant about it at this point. And because they've been working in this environment and haven't gotten sick, are feeling pretty confident with the precautions being taken. So I anticipate that I will eventually also reach this level of comfort.
Right.
But for me, it's like just about as scary as for anybody that's not been working in hospitals, as I haven't had personal exposure with it.
Have any of your fellow nurses had it?
So yes, I do know that I have had like several former coworkers that did get infected with the virus, but everyone has been okay so far.
Yeah.
But it's still scary because it's one of those things where some people
Completely fine.
are completely fine, and other people, including like young, otherwise healthy people,
Yeah.
just succumb to the virus and literally within days perish. It's one of those like very uncertain things that we are dealing with.
I've
right
heard about
now.
like Olympic level athletes getting
Yeah.
so sick, out for weeks, and barely feel like themselves even once they've recovered.
Absolutely.
That's terrifying
It's
to me.
really, I find it really frightening as well because I
Want to live?
want to live and I want to live like a long, healthy, active life.
Yeah.
And I want to feel like I'm doing everything I can to like ensure that and being safe, especially in that kind of environment where I'm caring for patients with coronavirus. And due to like the rapidly changing recommendations per the CDC, I'm not fully confident that we're being protected as we need to be, just
if we
because
even know what we're supposed to do, like if
right.
the research can even keep up.
Exactly, like that, it makes me feel worried to be like in this environment and like the guinea pig in this environment in a sense. But I'm hoping that I'll feel more relaxed shortly with just more familiarity.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I hope the listeners can hear all the birds calling now, because this is fun.
Oh.
I think it's a perfect episode for you that we're recording outside.
It's perfect,
very
yeah.
much your brand.
Yes, y'all, welcome to my backyard.
Yeah.
Enjoy the
We are
sweet,
recording
sweet
from the
sound.
backyard. We should take a picture because there's some pretty trees around here and
It's
stuff.
really
So
pretty.
I'll take a picture and post it with the episode
Okay,
too.
great.
But no, I thought it would be fun mostly to do a follow up because the episodes were so different from my perspective doing them remotely. The whole point of the show is strangers worth meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Very odd when you don't actually get to really meet someone, and I try,
Mm-hmm.
but it's different. So what do you think your impression of me and Andrea, now that you met Andrea,
Yeah, that was great.
was right, since you hadn't met us but you knew a lot about us?
Uh-huh.
Or do you think we surprised? We were surprisingly unpleasant or surprisingly pleasant?
So the only thing that surprised me truly was to find out that both of you are a bit younger than I would have expected. And I only say that because one, when we did our initial interview, you come across as being quite mature.
Oh, I see.
And like you're very well spoken. And also in pictures, it's kind of difficult to determine a person's age. But I know like you're married and you have a business. So I just assumed you were older than I am. But instead, I've come to find that you guys are just crushing it at life.
I think that, first of all, both Andrew and I are old souls.
Yes.
We definitely recognize, I think we've recognized values that older people have at a much younger age.
Yes.
And we just do those things.
That's a good way to put it.
But also, meeting each other young was helpful because
Totally.
you kind of wade your way through the bullshit a lot faster. Do you know what I mean? When you're, with your partner. And so I guess that was always really helpful. But I've always been in a rush to do everything. So, yeah. I don't actually know where I'm going next. That's the scariest thing, if you just, I can get it all done.
It's very exciting though, because you're paving the way to lots of plentiful opportunities in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was very pleasantly surprised by meeting you for sure.
Excellent.
Because I definitely didn't get a full picture of you from just our one episode.
Absolutely,
for sure.
yeah.
It's so limited. And I feel like I already knew you better after 5 minutes of meeting you on the trail.
Absolutely.
It's different.
Yes, having the face to the voice, it has a tremendous impact. And
Yes.
just being in the presence of another person's energy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely recognized that you were a very energetic person, but I didn't know the extent. You seem to have boundless energy, and you told me that you will need time to recover from how long we've actually hung out today. For sure, and I get that.
Yeah.
But that I wouldn't have necessarily known just how bubbly kind of you can be and how much energy you have.
Yeah. I can be bubbly. I've been told. So, but I'm glad to hear that you were pleasantly surprised by that.
Yeah.
Rather than overwhelmed.
We also just took our first step of actually going out to eat
Y'all, that was wild. We have been cooped
been a
up
minute.
for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. It was interesting. It was we walked in and it was you have to wear your mask from
Mm-hmm.
here to your table and
Mm-hmm.
anytime you leave your table. At your table you can take it off, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And use the online menu. We're not going to give you a menu. Which the online menu was different,
Yeah.
by the way. It was like wrong.
They need to iron the kinks out there. Otherwise, great idea. Great
Yeah.
concept.
But I mean, there were quite a few people who were out eating at this restaurant.
Yeah,
It was
it was packed. It felt almost normal. It did feel normal, to be honest.
well, and it does. It feels packed, but at the same time, like in a restaurant like the one we went to, like
Yeah.
just we were at like a little microbrewery.
Uh-huh.
It's pretty casual, and most of the tables are quite far apart already as it is.
Totally.
We sat outside. I mean, there's still such little contact with other people that
Absolutely.
it definitely it feels okay. Everyone
Hmm. Yeah, the space felt well
ethically,
distributed.
I felt good.
I felt safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was putting anyone in danger by being
Same.
there.
It felt like we had like our little island that we got to occupy.
Yeah.
Distant from the others.
It does feel. I mean, it's a little nerve wracking to go out again for the first time because there's a lot of heat about it, about whether you should or not, and
Yes.
I can understand.
Myself as well.
I think it's that you just have to. I think what it really is that we don't allow people to sort of make their own minds up about that exact situation,
Mm-hmm,
and so like we hope everyone would be responsible enough to
Mm-hmm.
be like either this is an okay situation like we had today, we're so far apart from everybody,
so far apart. Mm-hmm.
or people are just going to be like, screw it, I'm going to Vegas and I'm going to pack in like sardines with 1 million people
Totally. Yeah.
because I can.
Because you can. Because
And you can.
normally we would. Normally, in normal life, we do.
And maybe you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe coronavirus is all just 5G. And it's not even real.
I hope so. Like,
That'd be the good ending.
when
wouldn't
are
it?
they gonna announce the prank to this year, y'all?
Oh my gosh, 2020,
This
you,
has been a
you are
doozy.
unstoppable right
Yeah.
now. Now I'm hearing about natural disasters too.
Oh my
which
goodness.
is-
And does anybody remember when like the news just casually slipped in that we had UFO sightings?
Yes, I
In the
do.
wake of all of this insanity, that didn't even that was just a blip on the
Oh,
radar.
it registered for me because I
Tell us
love
more.
that shit.
Yeah.
Like finding all this footage. And it's, I don't even know what to think about it. What do you think that we've made? So the last episode of the podcast
Uh-huh.
with Alina, who is an astrophysicist, and we talked a little bit about aliens.
Oh my gosh, I would love to hear more about that. I need
Yes.
to listen to the episode.
Well, it is out there for the world to listen to.
Yeah.
But she seemed fairly positive that definitely there are aliens.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
It
I'm
makes
on board.
sense, yeah.
Statistically, it's a massive universe.
Right. We can't be the only ones here.
No, come on.
Come on.
But the question I was posing was whether or not we would have made contact. But there are some weird things out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you ever seen... They made that documentary. It's on Netflix. I think it's Area 51, and it's about Bob Lazar, who is the dude who spilled the beans on the government having like alien ships at Area 51.
No.
Yeah.
No.
This dude's interesting.
What?
His
Oh.
story since like the 70s has been incredibly consistent. He like
Oh.
really doesn't stretch the truth on this. He
Interesting.
knows what he knows about it,
Uh-huh.
which is that he was there to work on like the propulsion system and try to understand this alien propulsion system.
What?
And since then they've found that the thing he said was real is real. Like it's a real
Oh my gosh.
element that made this ship fly.
Wow.
I know.
Ooh, this is wild.
And now we have footage of UFOs.
Wild. Any other year, though, that news would have been like groundbreaking,
right.
the focus of all media attention. And instead, like, I don't even think I read a full article about it, and you are piquing my interest now.
Uh-huh. Do you think that, I mean, in a way, I feel like that's part of what's happening. I think we're all drowned in news.
There's so much news, so much overwhelming news.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of just waiting right now.
Yeah, good and bad in all types. And things are tough.
Mm-hmm.
But I have nothing to complain about because I don't exist in any one city ever for more than a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's a good. And I am similar, though, moving around at like less frequent intervals than you guys move around. So,
Right.
Yeah, but it's a cool way to live.
So, back to an actual subject that is not just me talking about aliens.
But I'm into it.
I love it. What is the next big project for you? Are you thinking about the next big through hike?
So at this time, I'm not planning any specific through hikes. I'm still waiting to see if I get accepted into the graduate program that I applied to. And if I do, then the next big project will be grad school starting in January. But if I don't, I will probably start trying to plan some sort of through hike for next year.
So grad school,
assuming that
you
we
said,
can travel.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Grad school, you said, was for a nurse practitioner.
Yes, I'm
Degree.
hoping to go to school to become a nurse practitioner.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How long is that program?
So the program I applied to is 3 years for a master's or 4.5 years for a doctorate.
Will you have to live in one spot, or can you do some online, or how does it work?
So actually, the program is almost entirely online. I could do it remotely from any location and just travel to Denver a couple of times a year. Or I could relocate to Colorado because it's rad. Why not?
Oh, yeah. I miss Denver. I miss Denver all the time.
Yeah.
That is such a cool city.
Yeah. If I end up going there, y'all will have to give me your recommendations.
Do I have any recommendations?
Oh.
You're gonna find you're gonna find better spots than I ever found in living there in 2 years. Like, you're gonna find it the first weekend. You're gonna find a way cooler hike than I ever did living there. Because all we did was ride motorcycles in Colorado.
Oh,
like, that was
that's
kind of what
pretty
it was
cool.
all about.
Yeah.
For me.
I won't be doing that, but that is pretty rad.
Would you like to?
Maybe
Would you
like
ever?
as like the backseat passenger, like I might give it a go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like if you're riding with a rider who actually doesn't want you to die, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, that could be fun.
But if you're on the back with a rider who like wants to die, like has a death wish, it's not that fun.
I'd probably be crying a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah.
Just put a helmet on and put a jacket on and some gloves with some reinforcement on your knuckles.
I like that.
Yeah. And you'll be okay.
Some like hefty boots.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken a spill.
Ooh, how did that go?
It's not fun.
No.
I think it's scarier than it hurts. It doesn't hurt as bad as you think.
Okay.
The stuff I've done,
Oh my
which
gosh.
is just like a normal slide.
Yeah. How fast were you going at the time?
But for the sake of my parents, I don't think I. Well, we weren't speeding or anything, but it was quite a fast,
Right.
slow down. I mean,
Oof.
I wasn't being irresponsible. It was another driver that did some rough stuff.
Yeah.
You get
that's
cut
the
off a
scary
lot.
part. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to see motorcyclists sometimes as a driver of a vehicle. So.
I know, but we're so loud though. I think really it's that people are
are.
texting and have their music up really loud. Probably is the biggest issue for me.
Yes, those are good points.
How did we go down so many? You're letting me go down rabbit holes. Okay, here's the other interesting thing I learned about you today, which is that I feel like your mother is a therapist,
She is.
and so I feel like a lot of that rubbed off on you,
Oh,
and you're
shoot.
really great at asking questions to
Oh.
other people, and really good at deflecting questions that come your way.
Is that true?
So
Oh, shoot.
That's why it's so easy on a podcast with you to talk about myself.
Oh, but I like
you're the
it.
best.
I mean, I'm sure that your listeners also want to learn more about you. So,
I think there's a healthy balance
yes.
for sure.
Yes.
For sure.
We're keeping it real, keeping it balanced.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We do. Well, I'm so glad that you are my first returning guest.
Yes, it's been so wonderful.
How does it feel to come back on the show?
It feels
It's different in person.
it's a different experience in person. It's really cool to see the setup, the fancy microphones in action. Before I was literally just sitting cross-legged on my bed at home with my laptop propped up in front of me and my cell phone open with the recording program running, and I could almost pretend that I was just talking out loud to myself. So this is a more integrative experience.
Yeah, it's kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
I like I'm a big fan of doing these in person. I think it's like
Yeah.
it's a totally different experience.
Mm-hmm.
And then also the fact that we get to spend like an entire day together, which is a lot, and it's a lot to ask of people, like do a whole day with me. But
It's great.
it was okay. You made it. Congratulations for that.
And you did as well, so kudos.
The thing I was impressed by on our hike for sure is that it felt like none of what we did today phased you, and like my guess is you could go out again tomorrow and do that
Yes.
again, and I will need some recovery time.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Well, I believe you could as well if you wanted to. Yeah, you crushed it today on
How
this
many
hike.
miles do you put down in a week? Like if you can hike, I mean, I know you have crazy shifts working.
Yes. Yeah.
But let's say like when you were in Tucson, like when you didn't have work,
Yeah.
how many miles were you putting down?
So I was mostly running during quarantine, but I was running like anywhere between like 50 and 70 miles a week probably, and that was not including if I went hiking like 1 or 2 days out of the week. So,
Wow.
but ordinarily working 3 shifts per week, my mileage is significantly less.
Right, I believe that.
Yeah.
Do you get injuries when you're running? Like it's so high impact to do that many miles.
Yeah, I haven't, but when I was on the PCT, I did get an overuse injury in my in one of my shins. at one point, and I had to get off the trail for about a week for it to heal. But other than that, I haven't had any wear and tear injuries. Knock on wood.
Yeah. What was the overuse? Was it like shin splints or something like that?
So, I never went to an actual doctor, but I did go to like a sports massage therapist seeking some assistance when I was off trail in Portland, Oregon. And I had contemplated going to a doctor and getting an x-ray, but when you have stress fractures, apparently it is uncommon for them to show up until much later on. So I didn't.
You can't see them on an x-ray or anything?
What I was told is that it's very common for stress fractures, like microscopic fractures, to be missed in an x-ray if the injury is fresh. And at the time, I didn't like really have health insurance, and I didn't want to pay out of pocket for an x-ray that wasn't going to be necessarily diagnostic.
Right.
But the massage therapist that I went to thought that I had compartment syndrome in my leg, which is actually a scary condition that you see in patients that have traumatic injuries or traumatic accidents.
Ooh.
And have like a lot of tissue damage, which then prevents oxygen from getting to cells like below the level of that damage, and like it can be a bad situation. But apparently something similar can also happen with overuse if your muscles are growing at a rate that your like vasculature is unable to compensate for, is how she explained it to me. And so she thought that just from like walking so much, how my muscles were developing throughout that process resulted in this injury. And so what I did to correct it was I rested, and then she recommended like rubbing a lot of oils and like essential oils into the tissues to kind of help loosen them up, and then just be really diligent about my stretching, and it helped.
Do you stretch? Do you have like a normal stretch routine that you do?
I never stretch now.
I'm
I
like
should though.
I'm like trying to understand it, and I'd always heard conflicting things about stretching.
Yes, me too.
Like I've heard the opinion that it's like stretching actually can cause issues because it makes you like too flexible essentially. You might hurt yourself because you could like overextend things.
Yes.
But then I've also heard people who are like who swear by it.
Absolutely. It just depends what side of the fence you stand on. It's unclear to me whether or not it's beneficial. So I just tell myself that it's better that I don't, because I don't take the time to do it.
Because it's more convenient.
It's more convenient. Yeah, but I mean, even in the book Born to Run, the author argues against stretching, and states the opinion that it accounts for many running-related injuries. So
Strange.
I think I took that and ran with that.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like sports medicine has so far to go before we really understand what we're talking about, and there's just such conflicting opinions out there.
Absolutely.
So many different things. Probably because, I mean, I assume it's because humans are so varied that there's never going to be one right answer, and some things are going to work for some people and not work for other people.
Agreed with that.
Born to Run, that's the one where he really gets into barefoot running, right?
Yes. All about the barefoot running, and just like studying the kind of the history of running and local populations that still embrace running as a part of their culture.
But you don't do any of the barefoot stuff, do you?
I don't do any of the barefoot stuff. I just run in trail runners, and I have like one pair of shoes that I do everything in. So I get pretty worn down, if that counts for any points, but no barefoot running.
I got really into it.
I know you're really into it, though. Yeah.
I tried it back when I was in high school when I ran a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
And I got a stress fracture.
Shoot.
In my shin. I gave myself a stress fracture by doing that. And I think it was that I was doing my stride wrong, because you really have to learn how to stride correctly.
Interesting. And it's about like striking with the middle of the foot.
Yes.
Correct.
That's the thing. So I learned that supposedly in like the 80s when running became mainstream, shoe producers wanted people to feel like running was more like walking. And so that was literally where heel striking started.
Yeah, they encouraged the heel strike.
Yes.
Yes.
And so since then we've been running like that, but historically that's not how supposedly we're supposed to run. I'm saying supposedly and all these things because I don't freaking know.
Right.
I just think everybody should do what works for them.
Absolutely. Whatever's comfortable and like does not result in injury.
I like the challenge of it. It hurts.
It sounds painful.
First couple months in like barefoot sandals. Yeah. Because that's what I bought. Essentially, I was just like, okay, I don't want to step on like a rusty nail or something.
Oh yeah.
Like at least I'll have something.
Like some sort of layer of protection from the elements.
And it hurts. It hurts
I'm
to
sure
walk
you
on.
can feel like every rock, every sharp little stone. Yeah.
I got like I have a thing with my heel now because I stepped on too many rocks on the same spot in the middle of my heel. And like if you do that enough times and you step on like a hard rock in the middle of a run, you're gonna feel that until you're done running. You're gonna
my
feel that for like
gosh.
3 days.
You are not selling me on this.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't know. Like, I think like long-term running injuries, it's like you have to decide.
Right.
You definitely have to decide which train you're on,
Yes.
and then do that one right.
Just like commit to it.
I
correct.
definitely think people can do either way. Like, I hear about ultra marathoners who
Yes.
wear super lifted shoes, and there's like it's all about the shoes.
Yeah.
But then there's the barefoot people too, and I think they both have a point, and I get it.
I get it too. Yeah, all about it.
It's pretty, yeah. But I've been where you've been, and it's like I get the stress fracture thing. It sucks. It hurts.
Yes, yes.
Just out of nowhere.
Oof, yes.
But you only rested for a week, and then you were back.
Yeah,
on?
well, so I didn't have a stress fracture. I don't think it was just more of like a soft tissue injury.
Okay.
But stress fractures are incredibly common on the trail, so it's always worrisome when like something that didn't hurt before starts acting up and doesn't stop.
Yeah.
But I think I got lucky to not have had one as far as I know.
Yeah. What do you have your eyes on in terms of through hikes?
So,
But because I know that the focus right now is whoops, don't touch the microphone. Sorry, everybody. I know the focus right now is the degree and the next step there.
right, yes.
But I probably asked you this in the last episode. Who cares?
Yeah,
Let's
I'm
do it
not sure.
again.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm more interested in like some shorter stuff at this time. Prior to coronavirus, my friend and I were supposed to do a 240-mile hike throughout the country of Switzerland. We were planning on hiking the Swiss Via Alpina, and that is still so high on my list. I hope to do that sometime in the next couple of years. It looks absolutely beautiful.
Have you been to the Alps before?
I have not, and they look gorgeous.
Awesome.
Oh, yes. But alas, it shall not happen this year.
No.
So that's high on the list. I still would like to hike the Arizona Trail. Very interested as well in like the Colorado Trail. Someday, I think I'd love to hike the Continental Divide Trail, maybe the Appalachian Trail. It's just hard. Like, there's so many things to do in life. So year by year, I just have to see where I'm at. But I'm open.
Do you think that like going with the running somewhere is going to end up being a thing for you? Like, do you think you'll do one of those ultra marathons and do like 50-mile run?
I hope to. One of my life goals is to do a 50-mile run, and I think it would be really incredibly rewarding to at some point accomplish a 100-mile run, but I'm not sure if that will be like within my physical scope at any point. I'm not outruling it though. I'm just working in that direction and seeing what happens.
This is funny today because I just listened to a podcast with the David Goggins,
Ooh.
like crazy ultra marathoner, and he was talking about his first experiences with it, and I was blown away. Like the pain, the hurt, but that's kind of what that guy lives for. Like he's like, how far can I push everything? That's not me really.
Yeah.
I don't see that.
I don't think I'm quite there either.
It
But
can be
I'm like a
inspirational
step in
little
that direction. Like, I definitely enjoy a good suffer fest, but he is a next level human being.
Well, if you're doing 50 to 70 miles a week, you were doing like 10-mile days at least.
I was doing a lot of like 8 to 9 mile days almost every day, and then some days longer. But that was purely because we were quarantined and I was without work and had almost nothing to do but run and talk to my parents.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my gosh. So I've been trying to understand your schedule here as a nurse.
Yeah.
As a traveling nurse, which is just as crazy as any nurse's schedule.
Yes.
In that you just did 3 12-hour days, and now you have a few days off, but that's not normal.
Well, it just depends. So this job is not going to give us any set schedule. So we'll work 3 shifts every week, but they might be just different days every single week. So
why is it a 12-hour shift in the first place? Like, why can't you do a 6-hour shift?
Well, some hospitals still have some remaining 8-hour shifts, but I think a lot are slowly transitioning towards all 12-hour shifts, which many people prefer. It is nice to be able to have 4 days off a week. But then there also are arguments that it's better for patient safety because each time a patient team is handed off to the next staff member, one, you lose like a good half hour through that transition, where people cannot be like as attentive to patients because we're, handing them off to the next nurse and communicating all of their needs. So, and then also just like, I think every time you pass along information a little bit can get lost. So there is an argument to having less transitions in a person's care. But I don't know. I think other than that, people just like having their 3 days on and their 4 days off.
I feel like
Yeah.
that. I think that suits you in a way. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like you're the endurance person. It's
Mm-hmm.
like a 12-hour shift and then 3 in a row. Like,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't necessarily bother you in the same way. Like, it would bother me, I think. I think it'd be hard to be on like that. I
It
mean,
is really tough, honestly.
yeah.
I wish that I could get paid the same amount to work 3 8-hour shifts a week. That would be ideal.
Right.
But alas, I'd rather work 3 12s than 5 8s. So I will pick my poison.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Everybody does.
We all do.
Everybody does.
We all do.
I mean, because I can say that I have days where I don't even have to check in some days.
It's so nice.
But then I have other days where I'm at it all day long, and not just at it, but like in the thick of it all day long. We all have whatever it takes to get by. We all, I guess, get accustomed to it. Are you like on all 12 hours? Like you're fully in
We
it.
get a half-hour lunch break, and then technically we're supposed to have 3 15-minute breaks in addition to that for a 12.5-hour shift, because like really our shifts are 12.5 hours.
Right.
But I know like on an average day, most nurses do not take all of their 15-minute breaks. So you're on, with the exception of like your 30-minute lunch, hopefully.
What is the majority of what you're doing during that time?
So we do patient assessments. So we take a listen to their hearts and lungs. If they had a surgery, we assess their surgical site and make sure there are no complications there. We also pass medications throughout the day. A lot of patients have issues with their mobility and either can't walk or need a lot of assistance in walking. So we help to get our patients moving around and repositioned in their beds. We get people cleaned up or showered, help people eat. So it's a lot of tasks and a lot of like daily cares, just making sure that people are comfortable and safe and fed and medicated.
I guess I don't. So I don't know how far we got into this last time. That's a good reminder for me. I should always go and re-listen so we don't just cover the same ground.
Okay.
But like, what drives you to actually do that? I mean, I can't. I love people. I think
Yeah.
people are great.
Yeah.
I like helping people and taking care of people.
Uh-huh.
I like to think I'm a decent nurturer.
Uh-huh.
But I would be so done if I had to do that for 12 hours straight like that.
Yeah, I think that we're just resilient as people, and for me, it was a pretty big transition initially, especially like it's a lot of social contact. That can just require a lot of exertion of energy, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you get in your role, and the more at ease you become with those kinds of interactions, and like for a sustained period of time. So it's tiring and it's difficult, but it doesn't feel unnatural anymore. It just
Right.
feels like something that I do naturally. And so yeah, I don't know. I don't think about it too much anymore. But some days are quite stressful.
Like, how do you keep going when you hit hour 6 and something's pissing you off and you're just wiped and you know you've got 6 more hours to go?
I'm good at asking for help. Like if I reach a tipping point where I am super overwhelmed and I need help, like I'm good at vocalizing that. But in exchange, I'm also good at offering help when another person's drowning. Like we all have our days where we're drowning on the job. Also, I try to keep like a somewhat continual like trickle of food entering my system. So I like bring a ton of snacks to work. If I need 5 minutes, I hop off the floor and I'll like eat a bunch of calories, and that helps. Like just keeping my blood sugar up can kind of get me through.
Yeah, because
Anything.
it's like a marathon. It's like you got to keep something going. You got to keep those calories coming in.
Yeah.
'Cause you're just going.
Totally, yes. So I think it's good to just like vent for a minute to your coworker if you need to. Eat a snack, drink some coffee, drink some water. Good to go.
Do you find that a lot of people, you're similar to a lot of people at work, or are you an outlier?
I think that like all kinds of people are attracted to professions within healthcare, and I think actually that's probably one of the more rewarding aspects of it. Obviously our patient interactions and the amazing work that we do is rewarding, but it's also really cool that our coworkers are so diverse. So sure, I might have a lot in common with certain people, but I also meet people that I learn a tremendous amount from that couldn't be more different than I am as a person, except for that we share a profession. So it's cool. It's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. That's interesting.
Hmm.
I think it's the same way. I mean, obviously Andrew and I work with a lot of different healthcare professionals, and
Oh, totally.
they run the
Yes.
gamut. I mean, all sorts of backgrounds, all sorts
All
of
sorts.
opinions.
Right.
That keeps it fresh. That keeps it kind of fun.
Hmm.
And part of our job that's interesting is putting a voice to those people, so helping them to build a brand.
Hmm.
And it's different for everybody because it has to be. We can't.
Absolutely.
You just can't generalize people in healthcare.
No, yeah.
Everybody's unique
Hmm.
in some way or another.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's really cool that you get to participate in that part of the process as well.
It works.
Yeah.
It works. Okay, so wish list of travel definitely includes the Alps.
It definitely includes the Alps.
You told me that you're a big fan of Colorado, so it'd be good if you did land in Denver,
Yes, that would be excellent.
Utah area, and
I
I did
love
just spend
Utah.
some time in Moab,
Ah,
and that was
Gorgeous.
awesome. Yeah.
Big fan of the Red Rock Desert.
We camped, so where did we camp? We camped right outside of Canyonlands National Park, and they were still
Beautiful.
closed from COVID, but we were like way out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of BLM land out there as well,
I was kind of blown away by that area. It's just canyons as far as you can see, just like
as far as you can see.
like 20 buttes rising up in the distance, and just like here I am.
Yeah. I feel like you could spend a lifetime just getting lost out there in that
Absolutely.
landscape.
Absolutely. The one thing that Andrew was disappointed about was, I know she would have liked to have gone to, what's the place that has all those really curvy looking canyons?
Bryce?
Yes, Bryce Canyon.
Yeah,
right?
like the hoodoos, like the little like
Yeah.
kind of like multicolored orange.
It's like painted.
pillar-like
It's
formation.
crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been out there yet?
Mm-hmm. Yes, y'all will definitely have to go back sometime because it is very impressive to behold. So gorgeous.
So that's definitely on our travel wish list. What
Yeah.
do you feel like you've seen enough of the U.S. and you're ready to go try some other countries?
I like to travel. In an ordinary year, I try to get abroad like once or twice is my goal, and then try to just do some hiking trips as well, in the places that I end up taking jobs.
Right.
So, yes, always wanting to experience different cultures and have opportunities to see like distant lands as well as the places that are closest as well.
What will you do now that you have a few days off? Like, what is it that you do with your off time the most? I mean, I'm sure you're going to go hiking.
I'm going to go hiking, yes. So, ordinarily, I might consider traveling with a chunk of time off like this, but it's kind of an odd time with COVID, and the weather has not been the best up here in Washington.
It's
so
still raining like crazy.
it's raining a lot, so I probably am not going to go on like any extended camping trip, unfortunately. But also, I just got to the area. There's so much I want to explore that's accessible by a day trip. So I'll probably just spend the next few days connecting with new friends in the area and like exploring some of the trails, and yeah, maybe doing like some hobbies at home as well.
Yeah, you've already found yourself a hiking group too, I hear.
I found like a surprising number of people to hike with out here, so that's been pretty great and pretty shocking.
It seems like a Pacific Northwest thing.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of people out here, very active.
Yes.
Definitely want to be outside.
Everybody wants to spend all their time outside. It's pretty great.
But I think that I don't know, I think we act like that exists in these really small corridors, but it seems like there's, anywhere you go, you can find people like that.
I think that is true, but this is kind of the first time ever for me where I've landed in a place and like suddenly I have this network of people that want to share these experiences with me. Quite honestly, I normally do most of my hiking entirely solo, and I'm very comfortable with that, but have always been open to hiking with others. I just don't actively pursue that because I am so comfortable hiking alone. So it's been odd just having like so many other people to share that with here. It's been really nice.
Yeah.
So far, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a decent community of that in Tucson too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that get out. I met a lot of triathletes and cyclists
So cool.
in that area too. And then in Colorado felt the same way. I mean, you go to Boulder and it's like,
Totally.
okay, everybody here lives
And,
outside.
like everybody, yes.
Yeah, and
That's
everybody's
why
in
we're
great
here.
shape. It's
Yeah.
just
It's like
it's just that
a natural
area.
playground.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
But then I've also seen it in Texas in lots of places where I wasn't necessarily expecting to.
Totally.
And so people are getting outside, I think.
Yeah, there are definitely like outdoorsy pockets everywhere you go.
I think that gives me a lot of hope for people.
Yeah.
Because I feel like getting outside, you're just going to, I don't know, in whatever capacity you do it, you're going to connect with something.
Absolutely.
There's no way to like get outside and avoid some seriously deep thoughts about who you are as a person,
Absolutely.
your place in the universe.
Yeah, it
It's like,
definitely lends way to some deeper contemplation.
If you want to think about UFOs again and aliens, the thing I've been, Why did I hear about this? I don't actually know why. Someone
Uh-huh.
was talking recently about like light pollution and the fact that we can't see the skies
Uh-huh.
or the night sky in most places.
Yes.
And I was thinking about how much that disconnects us, like to a certain feeling. Like there's a feeling that
Yes.
you get when you go outside into nature.
Uh-huh.
There's a feeling that you get when you look up at actual stars that you
Absolutely.
can see outside of light pollution. That is, I am small as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Like I am tiny.
Mm-hmm.
And when we don't have that feeling all day,
Mm-hmm.
because everything around us feels like our same size.
Right. And
That-
like controlled by us to an extent.
Yes.
Like we have such tremendous power to manipulate our environments, even just within our own homes. Like we who do not engineer these controls also can master them. So it's just odd.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can tell a small device on your tabletop to control your lights and TV
Right.
and tell you what the weather is, and it feels like everything is so categorized and controlled.
Uh-huh.
It's like all that chaos that's nature, don't worry about it. It's all controlled and you run it.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you get out there, you're like, BS.
Yeah.
Like I could easily just slide off the side of a mountain and I'd be
Totally.
done forever.
Get struck by lightning, eaten by a bear.
For sure.
Who knows?
We didn't see any bears, luckily.
No bears, yeah. Not today.
I looked up, I got fascinated about this at one point, and I
Uh-huh.
had Andrea look up how many people die in national parks.
Oh, isn't it
A
like a
lot.
lot? Like an underreported number?
Yes.
Yes.
So here is what I was thinking, though, is the challenging thing about it.
Uh-huh.
Because I don't think we'll ever necessarily know
Uh-huh.
which one of those were on purpose and which one were not on purpose.
Yes.
Uh,
And it's hard. Yeah.
Because I think people jump off cliffs. I think they just
People
do.
do. People
and
do.
Maybe they left a note.
Or push others off cliffs.
Oh, that's dark.
I've been listening to too much Crime Junkie.
Is that what you've Well, when Alina and I were up fossil hunting, I found like handgun bullet casings
What?
everywhere.
So creepy.
It was kind of creepy.
That's kind of creepy.
Because-
what a place to shoot your gun.
You're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, like
But I know who was shooting their gun. It was just an idiot who was like, I'm just going to shoot my gun up here. Like, I just want to shoot my handgun because I don't get a reason to anywhere else. But it's also really, really dumb.
yeah.
Like, shooting guns is fun. Just go to a range. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's your weird thought for the day. No, but I definitely think it's weird that a lot of people die in national parks. But I have to think that, I forget, we did the stats on this. Andrew
Yeah.
tried to explain it to me 100 times.
Uh-huh.
And somehow I'm just an idiot enough with numbers that I could not follow what she was saying. But it was, I'll still contend that a lot of those are suicides.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, but at some point, I'm pretty sure I was reading, like, maybe even the Google reviews of Yosemite when I lived out in Tahoe for last summer and was going out to Yosemite. It was either that or I found some weird article, but I feel like it was the Google reviews. So you should check them out. Somebody was leaving, like, repeated comments saying that they wouldn't go to Yosemite due to there being a staggering number of disappearances in the park that the Park Service is not addressing or being transparent about with the American people. And whoever was writing these comments was very passionate about this conspiracy.
That would freak me out.
It's kind of freaky.
Have you seen the documentary Murder Mountain?
No.
You heard about this?
I don't think I want to see that.
It's about the marijuana growers in Northern California.
Oh, okay.
And how they basically like run these mountains,
Oh
and
my
they
gosh.
still do. And like though it's legal there, a lot of them have not gone legal,
Uh-huh.
and people just disappear left and right up there.
That is
They'll
weird.
like workers will come up, be like, oh, I'm gonna make a bunch of money like trimming marijuana,
Never to be seen again.
and they just don't. Yep,
Oh my
just
gosh.
disappear.
So note to self: avoid this place.
Yeah, you listened to true crime stuff, and then you went on a hike with a relative stranger today. So congratulations, you made it back to the ground. It turns out I'm not a psychopath, but you didn't know that for sure. So
Yeah, we rolled the dice today.
took the
I
jump.
mean, you
You
didn't
took the
know
lead.
either. So
That's true.
I could have been.
That's my male
Really
ego right
frightening.
there.
Yeah.
Because like I'm just like, I'm not afraid of women, and like, yeah, but guns are the great equalizer. So what would I have done?
It's true. Who
I
knows?
don't know. It's
We
a
both
good thing.
survived though, y'all.
It's a good thing neither of us are killers, and we both
Yes,
made it
yes.
back down alive.
Yes, and had a thoroughly enjoyable day.
And we met a mountain goat, and we met an incredibly aggressive squirrel.
The most aggressive squirrel. He was really going after those girls' snacks.
He was like trying to snatch snacks out of their hands.
Yeah, he was like not afraid to take fingers along with him too.
That's a mountain squirrel right there.
That was a
That
mountain
dude
squirrel.
lives up on the top of a mountain,
And
and he's not afraid of
hardy
anything.
squirrel. Yes,
That's what I think about mountain squirrels.
I must agree.
I think we should leave it right there.
I think that's
I think
a
this
good.
episode should end with our opinions on like really dark mountain squirrels.
Ferocious mountain squirrels.
Ferocious, absolutely terrifying mountain squirrels, because they're hardcore up there. They're not your like college campus squirrel.
Yeah.
Like those dudes run around, they're just fat, they can't do anything. This is like a mountain squirrel, he'll bite your finger off.
Yeah, like definitely keep your snacks zipped up in your pack. Don't risk it.
If you take nothing else away from this episode, watch out for squirrels, probably more than bears and more than wildcats. Just
At least while in Washington.
at least while in Washington.
Yes.
I love it. I love ending on a weird note like that. Well, thank you for coming back and being on another episode of the podcast.
Yes.
It was really nice of you.
Yes, thanks, Tyler. Thank you for spending the day with me. It's been excellent.
Yes, we had an awesome hike. We had
So
some
fun.
awesome burgers and beers, and now I'm going to go and sleep off all of that. But I'm leaving tomorrow, too, so
I know. Oh my gosh, you have to have the safest drive.
I'll be
You guys
waking up
safe
at
on the road.
probably 4 to pack up and get ready to go here.
You're wild.
Yeah, it's crazy lifestyle.
Super crazy.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to the new episode of the Strangers Worth Meeting podcast. Thank you, of course, to our sponsor, Track Farms. Go try their CBD. I'm going to have some when I get home to help recover from that crazy hike we just did today. Thank you to my guest, Rachel Lee, for being on the podcast. You can find her on Instagram at Nature Monster with 2 R's, if I recall correctly, at the end there. I'll post a couple pictures from our hike and of us recording on my Instagram, as always, at THixenLife, and on Twitter at THixenLife if you want to reach me. And I'm about to zip across the country, so if anybody wants to be on a podcast, you holler at me, because I'm going to be anywhere and everywhere. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We will see you on the next episode.